I just can't even believe that I lived so long without this information. Just one more month, I'm saying, like, just don't waste any more time. Every month, every moment matters. This is about longevity and going into these later years that you've got to face with strength and with, with fortitude and with awareness and the knowledge to move forward. It's invaluable. I wish I could go back. I wish I could go back to my 20s and start all over again, really. And this is what I would do. I wouldn't change a thing about what you guys taught me. I wouldn't change a thing. I would do it exactly like you have showed me.
I'm Kitty Bloomfield, co-founder of New Strength and Saturée, creator of perimenopausal food supplements and seriously saturated skincare. And today I have the gorgeous Kitty on the podcast, Kitty Martone. I just love her. She's beautiful on the inside and out. And she has been on the podcast. I think, have we had you on once or twice?
I think once, and you've been on mine once.
Yeah. So we talked all about the benefits of progesterone, and she's the CEO of the creams, which I use, which are amazing. So go check that podcast out. But today I wanted to get Kitty on to talk about her experience in the coaching program. And she just got such incredible results. And yeah, you actually recorded a podcast in your own podcast, which I shared, which was great. So welcome back.
Thank you, Kitty.
And go and listen to her podcast. It's great. It's what's it called?
Stuff your doctor should know.
That's it. Yeah, it's really good. She did a great one actually with Georgie talking about her blood tests. But anyway, we'll talk about that on the podcast. So perhaps talk about like what you're experiencing prior to joining the program. What made you join the program?
Well, let's see. I have always been resistant to consistent, disciplined training and consistent, like tracking my food. And the reason is because I was always kind of skinny fat, right? I never really had an issue with my weight. And I think that this is really deceiving for women like me, because you think because you're thin that you're healthy. And so I never really felt like I needed to go in and lift weights or really do anything consistently. So that was a big problem as I reached perimenopause and now menopause. And then the tracking the food. Even prior to becoming a nutritionist, I was like, I don't need to track my food. I'm fine. I'm thin. I can eat anything. And then when I became a nutritionist, I was like, well, as long as it's gut healthy food, I can just share that with everyone. And I learned about the microbiome. And so I was like, these foods are fine. But I never thought for 1 second to track my macros, to pay attention to my fat, my protein, and my carbohydrate intake, or be consistent with working out. So then my health stuff, I'm like, look, I'm going to go into menopause soon. And I've got all these symptoms that are still hanging around, might be hypothyroid. I need to start making some changes that I've never made. And so that was it. So along came you. It was really the smartest thing I think I've ever done. One of the top 5.
Oh, great. Oh, that's so good. All right. So, so Kitty did our accelerator program where she worked with a coach one-on-one. She did weekly calls. So the highest level program that we have. So and that was 16 weeks. She did a 16-week block. So talk about some of the results that you saw in the program.
Well, I want to say first that, it's not only physically was it just a wise investment. It's an investment in every possible way, a smart investment, the return on investment. That's what I'm trying to say. So, okay, wait, say that question one more time.
So what were the results that you saw in the program? Yeah.
So the first week or so was really kind of difficult. I thought for sure my biggest problem were going to be actually like the working out. Thought I was going to get bored. And so, but it turns out that my most challenging aspect was the food. And I didn't realize that I have like an under eating problem. And so the results in the beginning were tough because I kept feeling like I was failing. Like I kept thinking, gosh, I didn't realize it was going to be so hard for me to do the food part, to pay attention to that. And so I remember talking to my coach, Nissa, and she remembers too. I was just like really down on myself about that. So when I started to realize that I had to be super specific with the food, that's when that's when I started to see the weight. The first thing was the weight. I started to see it wasn't dropping on the scale, but I started to feel like not so inflamed. That was a big thing because it was, yeah, there's fat weight, but there's also inflammation, right? And I started to feel that inflammation was going down. And one of the major things that I will never stop now is the walking, because I always used to walk, but I never walked this consistently. At least I was walking at least I guess 7,000 steps a day, average between 5 and 7,000 daily, which was dramatic increase from prior, to the program. And I noticed the weight dropping really, really quickly when I was walking. And so that was cool. But then I guess it was probably 3 weeks into the program or 4 weeks where my butt started to feel firm, and I just could I felt my muscles just firming up. And I mean, gosh, Kitty, there's so many results. I started to go to the bathroom more frequently, like, bowel movements became more frequent and more, normal. And I mean, skin changing as well. My skin wasn't as dry. I'm a really dry skinned person. And I just felt like my skin changed, the brightness of my eyes changed. It was nuts. There were things I was not expecting to see a difference in. And now at the end of the program, now that, we finished, and I don't know how many weeks we're probably, that's 4 months, I guess. And so I'm easily going into month 6, I think. Is that right? I can't remember. But and now it's just, I feel like I'm a completely different body. And it's just, the feeling is really incredible. My husband is just really impressed. I just feel stronger, and now I'm lifting weight that I would normally have, gone to the gym and maybe lifted for a little bit in the past and just been wiped out from that level of working out. And now it's slow and consistent, but now I'm really lifting heavy weights, especially in my legs. And I just can't. Today I went, and I'm in Florida. My whole schedule has shifted, but I'm completely committed still. I joined a gym out here for a month, and I go 3 times a week, sometimes more. And my favorite day is leg day. Imagine that.
Me too.
And it's so great. I just would never think I would even talk like this, but I'm just seeing the changes, and that is really exciting. But I mean, you want me to go into the other results, or are we going to talk about
because what I found super interesting too was, you said, I'm going to go into this and go off all the hormones. And then you said all of the symptoms returned. And then after a period of time, they went away after just following all the basic nutrition. Talk about that, because I thought that was super interesting.
Okay. So, I've always been pursuing the whole hormonal balance thing, and especially recently since I've worked with ONAs and I have my estrogen dominant support group. So it's really a hyper focus on that with people, gut health, hormones. And I just started into perimenopause. And menopause. So menopause is marked as 1 year without a bleed, right? So I was 1 year and 4 months into 4 months into menopause, but a year without a bleed, 4 months into menopause. And then I was having hot flashes. So I started to have these symptoms of menopause that everyone talks about, where, I feel like foggy headed. I also feel, vaginal dryness, all of those, the list of them. And I was on progesterone. So progesterone was keeping them at bay. But then I got off of the hormones so that I could then test. And I was how many weeks? I was a few weeks into the program, maybe a month into the program at this point when I started the testing. And I was completely shocked because prior to that point, I had done a lot of blood work, and just through my working, I had to do the Dutch test and all these tests on myself. And my levels had always been almost undetectable, just like the lowest possible estrogen and everything. And so even taking progesterone. So I'm a good month into the accelerator program, and I do all this testing. I get all the tests back, and I had almost normal levels in some of the labs of estrogen, of testosterone, still low, but for a menopausal woman, it looked okay. And that's shocking because I had been trying for so long to get my hormones up and then taking them. I took testosterone in the past. I took DHEA. I took estrogen even, and never could I get my levels up. And that was really frustrating to me. I thought, well, this is just the way it's going to be. And yeah, I was not expecting to see that the hormone levels started to normalize just with working out, just with the heavy lifting, getting more protein, and doing all the things that, you guys encourage and teach. Shocked. So then we went into Georgie Dinkoff's test, which for those people that don't know, I did a whole battery of tests just to prove a theory that Georgie Dinkoff had, that was menopause is not a state of low estrogen. It's actually a state of high estrogen. It's just the estrogen goes into tissues instead of in circulation. And that's the problem. So then we end up supplementing estrogen, and this becomes an issue of more estrogen, and not good for us at all. So I volunteered to do all these tests, including the tissue analysis of his. At the same time, I was doing the accelerator program. So it was kind of cool to see that happen, and just a kind of a coincidence that I had joined the accelerator program just a month, before that. And sure enough, I got the steroid analysis test back from Georgie, and my estrogen levels were 100 times more than they should be in tissue. Estradiol as well, which is the most dangerous, right? So, okay, I have to tell you something that you probably don't know about yet. This is another really crazy something that happened. So, from those labs, we discovered that and testing my pulse and temperature and everything, thanks to you guys and the accelerator program, learning to do that kind of thing, and realizing that I had a sluggish thyroid. And then in all of my blood labs, most of them, and the 24-hour urine and all of that, they were like, okay, your thyroid's fine. You need testosterone, you need estrogen, you need progesterone. And they would have easily have given me all of those hormones. So I end up taking some thyroid. So I'm taking a T3 and a glandular with T3 and T4. And I've been on it for 27 days now, and working out, still doing my accelerator program. And all of a sudden I feel a little tender breasted. And I'm like, what's this about? I'm not on any hormones still. And lo and behold, I start bleeding again. I have a period. Not bad, not heavy, not horrible. And I almost fell off the toilet. I was like, what? So this is a huge, incredible deal. For those women who are hearing this and like, oh God, they would dread that. They would never want their period back. I'm the same. I had horrible, horrible periods and was looking forward to menopause someday, until I realized that a healthy period, women who have healthy menstruation longer into their lives live longer. It's just the way it goes. And that speaks volumes about metabolism. So when we boost our metabolism, we live longer. And when you boost your metabolism, you make hormones. And when you make hormones, you have period.
Yeah.
So it's so incredible, really. This is such a good, exciting outcome,
That is incredible. It's so amazing. And I just was it because we see it with women in our program all the time who come in with the menopausal symptoms. And then when they start doing all the basic stuff that we've talked about, the night flushes, the hot flushes, sorry, the night sweats, the insomnia, all that stuff goes away.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. And it's really, because like, like you say, it's mind blowing. And I think the same thing. But then when you just think about it logically, you're like, okay, well, does my body need adequate energy and nutrients to actually produce adequate hormones? And when you're
Mm-hmm.
constantly under eating, not eating enough protein, which is what so many women do, then your body just doesn't have the raw materials or the energy to actually make the hormones and function optimally. Isn't it so crazy though? Like when you do this, because before, like the same thing, like I just did lots of different things for so many years. And then when I just started nailing the basics, it's like, wow, this shit really works. It's
Yeah.
like, because it's not, because I think everyone's just wanting, oh, what's the tablet that I can take or the hormone or what's the,
Yeah.
quick fix where if you just like get some more activity in, do some strength training, eat adequate calories for your body, get enough protein, get adequate sleep, get some sun. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. Or in my case, I got caught up in, detoxing and heavy metals and parasites and, exposure to toxicity and all this stuff. And it's like, people come to me all the time and they're like, I need to do a liver flush. I'm like, well, how many calories are you eating a day? And they're like, I don't know. What's your pulse and temp like? Oh, I'm not sure. And look, I'm not making fun or judging. I've been there. I did that. Even as a
Same.
nutritionist, I did it. So I'm not, judging it, but the basic foundational, you know, rules to a living human, to someone who can function and have a working metabolism. Are you doing those things? I think
Mm.
Joe Rogan just did a podcast talking about genetic mutations and
Mm.
Joe Rogan's huge and he had this doctor on there, I forget his name, and it's gone viral. And this guy's like, you have to make sure you detox your body and you have to make sure that if you have the MTHFR or these genetic mutations that you're taking the right vitamins and the right this and the right that. And hey, that is all very important and it's good to know that stuff. But first off, are you exercising? Are are you pooping twice a day? Are you eating? It's all those basic things. And
Mm.
once you kind of get those things under control, what then goes away? Do you even need to worry about your MTHFR? Because now you're eating well, your liver is able to do, you're getting enough protein, so your liver is able to do its job. And now you're dumping toxicity into the bowel and you're having your carrot salad
You're
and you're
pooing
doing
every day.
pro-metabolically
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're pooping.
Your
Guess
body's
what? You
working.
don't even,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't even need those things now.
I
So
know.
save your $500 on
Yeah.
the fancy genetic testing, hang on to it, stick it in a piggy bank, and then spend your money in this way. Spend your
Mm.
money in trying to get the basics down. I mean, it's like learning an instrument, really. And I said
Mm.
this to Nissa in the beginning because I was so frustrated at first. I was like, I swear it's like learning to play piano or learning a new language. It's like you have to master it. You have to look, it's not that hard. So I take it back. It's not as hard as learning a new language. But, getting up and going to the gym or taking that walk when you're busy and you've got things on your mind, or weighing out your food real quick, something new that you added to your diet, just
Mm.
looking to see those little things that are super tedious. That stuff is, once you've mastered those things and it becomes your habit, like I said, it changes everything because now you're doing, that's your lifestyle.
Mm.
And that,
Totally.
yeah.
I love it. I love it. And so how many calories were you eating in the program?
I'm still not eating exactly enough. And I hate to admit it. I mean, Nissa was trying to get me above 1,500 calories per day, and I still am just barely getting at 1,500. And I can tell and I know that my results will be even better with my muscle growth if I can just get
Maybe
past
a
that.
bit more. Yeah. But that's
Yeah, but
great. Like
that's,
the thing is you obviously, like I think when I say to women too, like progress over perfection, you've improved a lot from where you were.
yeah,
So you're only just going to get better and keep increasing that food, which is
yeah.
amazing. Um,
Y- speaking of food, the things that were the most challenging were like and shocking for me to like realize were that I knew I was under eating, but I didn't realize how much I was under eating. But also, like, I was under eating protein, overeating fat, and overeating carbohydrates, but still not eating enough. Like, wrap your head around that, right? That's not something people are like, what? But if I'm trying to get in, let's say 1,500 calories, and that total, I'm not hitting 1,500, but I'm overeating. I'm eating carbohydrates and fat out of balance. That was wild for me to get. And then, once I figured out, okay, if you look at it like a pie chart and you get your percentages of how much of that pie is 30, or how much of that pie is fat, how much of it is carbohydrate, how much of it is protein. And then you keep your eye on that. You start to look at your plate of food and you start to see, okay, there's too much fat on this meal. There's too much fat in this meal. Or I haven't had enough carbohydrate today. Like, that stuff is really valuable to recognize, because you start to realize that if I eat too much fruit, I can start to feel it in my gut. I can start to feel bloated. Also fat, I can start to feel, poos get different, your BMs get a little bit different. All that, you learn so much about your body and what is important for you, because it's not going to be the same for everyone. That was amazing to learn. Really cool.
That was going to be one of my questions. What did you find the most challenging? So that's perfect. You've answered that. So what did you enjoy most about the program?
I think when I realized that, my husband was like, he kept saying, "You're a gym rat now." I'm like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." I'm like, "It's just dumb. I'm never going to love the gym." Okay. But I think when I started to actually like love the gym, I was really looking forward to getting there. I was walking there when that gym, walking there and back is 4 miles, a little over 4 miles. And that's pretty good. Go to the gym, have a leg day, and then walk back. And that's a 4.5 mile, walk. And just enjoying that so much, and listening to podcasts, listening to, Audible. And so that was really cool. And then I think also the clean eating, like I was eating pretty clean, of course, before, because I'm a healthy gut girl, but there were things that I was eating that I didn't realize were not doing me any favors. So I really enjoyed getting into this habit of knowing what felt better in my body, knowing what was the best thing for me. And I'm telling you, that carrot salad is so magical. It's nuts. But so that was really fun. And then just watching my body change, that exciting conversation with Nissa when we go over everything and she's like, "Girl, you've gained some, not inches," because I think it's cool when you guys do it on the metric system, because you can see the gains easier.
The body composition change. So putting on the muscle and losing the body fat. And I saw your photos too. Amazing difference. Like
my butt.
I know, you could really, I was like this, like you can really see the changes in your body. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So good.
So, I mean, that stuff. And then, watching myself, like, just have better quality sleep. And then my husband started coming along with me too. So we became this like, gym duo. And doing things I didn't think I would be able to do. And in the beginning, like, I'm just not going to do deadlifts, Nissa. I can't do it. Just take them off and give me something different. And then now it's just like, that's just what I do. I just go in and that's just part of my leg day,
I love it.
So that stuff, there's so many things about the program that empower you and make you feel good.
And do you think you would have got the results that you have without the coaching?
No way. No way. I mean, I'm really lucky because my husband is an athlete, and so once, but he's not a coach for me. So you know how that is with your own spouse. It's difficult. So they don't listen to you, and I don't listen to him. But once I got in there and I started to get the hang of it, I was lucky because he joined me and he would correct me and stuff like that. But no, there's no way. I really needed to hear the hard truths, Nissa, like your spouse is gonna, if I give up, my spouse is gonna be like, well, okay, like he's not gonna keep on pushing me because he knows my boundaries and my limits.
Mm.
Nissa doesn't know that stuff and doesn't care because she's like, I'm here to help you improve, And so she, would have these conversations with me about, all right, you went out of town. I get it.
Mm.
But, you could have, she would say, what could you have done to make your trip back to New Mexico easier on you dietarily so that you didn't have this setback for yourself? Because she would say, because I would feel like it was a setback. And she would talk me through that. And then the next time I traveled, I'd be like, okay, first thing I do when I get there is go to the grocery store. And that seems logical, but having someone like her there to talk you through it, I think is so important. Yeah.
And just to finish off, what would you say to a woman who was sitting on the fence about joining the program?
Gosh. I just can't even believe that I lived so long without this information. Just one more month, I'm saying, like, just don't waste any more time. Every month, every moment matters. This is about longevity and going into these later years that you've got to face with strength and with with fortitude and with awareness and the knowledge to move forward. You can't, it's invaluable. I wish I could go back. I wish I could go back to my 20s and start all over again, really. And this is what I would do. I wouldn't change a thing about what you guys taught me. I wouldn't change a thing. I would do it exactly like you have showed me.
Brilliant. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing. Yay! Oh, it's great. And if you're listening to this and you've been thinking about joining the program and you want to find out more, I'll pop a link below in the show notes, and you can book a free call with myself or the team and have a chat about the program. And thank you so much, Kitty, for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kitty. Thank you.
I'm excited to see where you get with your lifting.
I know. We were talking about, if I'm here just in those 4 months, can you imagine this time next year?
I can't imagine. It's going to be amazing. I'm so pumped for you. I love lifting too. I'm actually going to train after this. So thank you so much. And I'll see everyone again next week.